Russian President Vladimir Putin's statement about Russia's withdrawal from the Black Sea Grain Initiative can be interpreted as a critique of Western countries' economic policies, as well as a strategy to counteract the impacts of sanctions imposed on Russia. The Black Sea Grain Initiative was designed to ensure global food security and help reduce the risk of famine in impoverished nations. Putin claims that the initiative has been used primarily for the enrichment of large American and European businesses that exported and resold grain from Ukraine. According to Putin, the majority of goods exported from Ukraine under the initiative have gone to wealthier countries, while a small fraction has been directed to countries in desperate need such as Ethiopia, Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, and Afghanistan. Putin's complaint about the non-fulfillment of conditions related to the removal of sanctions on Russian grain exports and fertilizers highlights the ongoing economic tension between Russia and Western countries. Putin also implies that the grain initiative failed to meet its intended humanitarian goals, hence his decision to withdraw Russia from the agreement. It's noteworthy that Putin suggests Russia is capable of replacing Ukrainian grain on both a commercial and free-of-charge basis, reflecting an effort to assert Russia's economic independence and resilience amid the conflict. However, UN Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs Martin Griffiths has expressed concern over Russia's withdrawal, indicating that it could potentially threaten the livelihoods of millions of people who depend on the grain initiative for food security. His statement underscores the potential humanitarian implications of these geopolitical decisions and tensions. The continued drone attacks on Ukraine's southern Odesa region by the Russian army indicate an escalation in the conflict. These attacks targeted critical infrastructure, such as grain hangars and storage tanks, inflicting damage and causing fires. The use of drones, such as the Shahed 136, signifies the employment of advanced technology in these attacks, potentially complicating Ukraine's defense strategies. This escalation has not only resulted in material damage, but has also caused human casualties. Ole Kuiper, head of the Odesa Regional Military Administration, reported that 6 people were injured in the latest attack, with 4 requiring hospitalization. This increase in human toll underlines the severity of the situation. The warning issued by the Ukrainian Air Force about the threat of further drone attacks on the Odesa region suggests that these types of attacks might persist. In response to this threat, Ukraine will likely have to adapt its defensive strategies to counter this new form of warfare. The continued attacks also underline the importance of international support in helping Ukraine defend its territories. They highlight the need for peace talks and diplomatic solutions to prevent further escalation of the conflict and to mitigate the humanitarian crisis that could ensue from these attacks. The continuous missile and drone attacks on the city of Odesa, one of Ukraine's major ports, reflect an alarming escalation in Russia's offensive strategy. With reports of an air alert lasting almost 4 hours, it's clear that the city's infrastructure is under heavy assault. This escalation, which has seen a variety of missiles used, including the Onyx, Caliber, X-22, Iskander-M, and Iskander-K, has led to significant civilian casualties and damage to the city's infrastructure. The report that 6 people were injured in the latest attack and that 1 person died with 21 others injured in the July 23rd attack underscores the human cost of these escalating attacks. The hospitalization of 4 people from the latest attack and the description of one individual's condition as closer to serious highlights the severity of these injuries. Moreover, the damage inflicted on the city's historic center, including the destruction of the Transfiguration Cathedral and damage to 25 objects of historical importance, illustrates a disregard for cultural heritage in the ongoing conflict. This level of destruction and casualty in Odesa signals a concerning escalation in Russia's offensive. The international community needs to take note and consider appropriate responses to discourage further escalation and protect civilian life and cultural heritage. It also highlights the urgency of diplomatic interventions to de-escalate the situation and bring about a resolution to the conflict. The emergency response team of the Ukrainian Red Cross Society, URCS, played an integral role in providing critical assistance to the victims of the missile attack in Odesa. It's commendable that these volunteers offered first aid to the wounded and psychological support to those affected by this devastating event. demonstrating the vital role that non-governmental organizations play in situations of crisis and conflict. In addition to medical support, URCS volunteers also took part in emergency rescue operations, assisting the State Emergency Service in extracting a woman from the rubble. The immediate provision of first aid in such circumstances is essential and can greatly increase the chance of survival in the wake of traumatic incidents. The fact that 16 URCS volunteers worked at the site of the liquidation of the consequences of the Russian missile attack is a testament to their dedication and commitment to providing aid and relief to those in need in highly dangerous situations. However, as the conflict continues, the need for medical and psychological support, as well as humanitarian aid, will likely increase. Therefore, it's crucial that international organizations, governments, and donors continue to support and provide resources for relief efforts like those of the URCS. These reports of drone attacks in Moscow mark an escalation in the conflict and highlight the widespread potential for damage and disruption that drone technology can pose in contemporary warfare. The reports suggest the use of drones to target infrastructure within the Russian capital, impacting both a business center and a building near the Russian Defense Ministry. While the immediate physical damage appears to be relatively minor, and there have been no reported casualties or fatalities, the psychological impact of such attacks can be substantial, raising levels of fear and uncertainty within the civilian population. The attacks also demonstrate a capacity to penetrate what would ordinarily be considered well-defended airspace, which can pose significant security concerns. It is currently unclear who is responsible for these drone attacks. Given the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, it's possible that the drones originated from Ukrainian forces, although this has not been confirmed at this time. The reported drone attacks come as the use of unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, in warfare continues to increase worldwide, highlighting the need for enhanced air defense capabilities and comprehensive counter-drone strategies. This latest missile attack on the city of Odesa is a devastating development in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. With the reported use of multiple missile types, it demonstrates a significant escalation of aggression from Russian forces. The attack has had severe consequences for the local civilian population, with one reported fatality, multiple injuries including children, extensive damage to residential buildings, and infrastructure like the Transfiguration Cathedral and the port. This attack has also reportedly disrupted power, causing further hardship for residents and potentially affecting communication, transport, and essential services. The attack on Odesa's port infrastructure is particularly significant, as it serves as a vital hub for Ukrainian commerce and the export of grain, a crucial aspect of Ukraine's economy. It comes in the wake of Russia's unilateral withdrawal from the Black Sea Grain Initiative, which further escalates tension between the two nations. The continued attacks on civilian infrastructure and non-combatants represent a serious breach of international law and norms. This incident underscores the urgent need for a peaceful resolution to the conflict and robust international engagement to protect civilians and vital infrastructure. It's essential to note that the information provided is based on reports from the Ukrainian South Operational Command and local authorities. As with any ongoing conflict, it's crucial to consider multiple sources for a full understanding of the situation. The Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, has identified 31 individuals who allegedly collaborated with the so-called headquarters of the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs in the temporarily occupied part of the Kherson region. According to the reports, these individuals were assigned to the Novokakhovka and Oleshki units of the so-called Russian police, with the selection process overseen by operatives from Russia's Federal Security Service, FSB. These collaborators are accused of participating in punitive actions against members of the local underground resistance movement, which included mass abductions and looting. Reports also suggest that local residents were imprisoned in temporary detention facilities, referred to here as Russian torture chambers, where they were subjected to brutal torture in attempts to coerce cooperation with the occupying forces. The collaborators are also accused of using repression to intimidate residents into voting in a referendum on the region's accession to the Russian Federation, which Ukraine and many international observers have decried as illegitimate. Based on the collected evidence, The SBU has charged the 31 individuals under Article 111, 1 Part 7 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine, which deals with collaborative activity. These individuals are currently evading justice in the temporarily occupied regions of southern Ukraine. The statement from the Office of the Prosecutor General indicates that among the suspects are 4 former national police officers who voluntarily sided with the enemy and assumed positions in the illegal law enforcement body established by the Russian occupiers. In situations of conflict, it is not uncommon for individuals to collaborate with occupying forces for a variety of reasons, often under duress or out of fear. Nonetheless, such actions are usually considered treasonous and are generally punishable under the law. The SBU is continuing to investigate and gather evidence in an attempt to hold those responsible accountable. Russia has reportedly modernized over 100 Ka-22 missiles into Ka-32 missiles, as stated by Natalia Humeniuk, the Joint Press Center chief at Ukraine's South Operational Command. The Ka-22 Burya missile is a Soviet-era long-range supersonic cruise missile, initially designed to target aircraft carriers and other large naval assets. The modernized Ka-32 version is believed to be more accurate and has been used by Russia in recent attacks on Ukraine. The recent attack on the city of Odesa and its surrounding region was significant due to the high number of various types of missiles used, including the K-32. This attack caused significant damage to the city's historic center, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. A total of 25 architectural monuments were damaged, including the Transfiguration Cathedral, in these attacks. The mention of the Ka-22 missile being used for numerous war crimes likely refers to instances where these missiles have been used to target civilian areas. A notable example is an incident on January 14th of this year, when a Ka-22 missile, reportedly fired from a Russian Tu-22M3 bomber, struck a residential building in Dnipro. These instances highlight the potential for military technology and weaponry to be misused in times of conflict, leading to significant civilian casualties and damage to infrastructure. Such actions are generally considered war crimes under international law. It's deeply concerning to hear about the latest developments in southern Ukraine. The port of Reni, a critical hub for grain transshipment, was targeted by Russian drone attacks, resulting in the destruction of 3 grain storage facilities. The blasts also reportedly caused structural damage to other buildings and injured 4 port workers. The recent uptick in Russian attacks on Ukraine's ports, particularly targeting grain infrastructure, comes after Russia's withdrawal from the Black Sea Grain Initiative. These actions have led to significant international condemnation, as they are seen as directly exacerbating the global food crisis. Ukraine is one of the world's largest exporters of grain, particularly wheat and corn. Damage to these facilities threatens to impact not only Ukraine's economy, but global food supplies, potentially driving up prices and exacerbating food insecurity worldwide. Continued conflict in the region poses an ongoing risk to critical infrastructure. Efforts to de-escalate the situation and ensure the safety of civilians and critical infrastructure remain paramount. However, finding a resolution is likely to be complex and require significant diplomatic efforts at an international level. These recent reports indicate a significant escalation of conflict in the region, with the reported drone attacks and subsequent explosions at an ammunition depot near Jankoy, in Crimea. It seems that the nearby military airfield in the village of Vesely, although officially non-operational, might have been the intended target. Local authorities have suspended rail traffic and some highways for safety reasons, and residents in a 5-kilometer radius around the explosion site have been evacuated. Further, similar incidents were reported in the region in the days leading up to this event, signaling an uptick in violence and potential drone activity. However, the origin of these reported drone attacks remains unconfirmed. Ukrainian authorities have not commented on the situation, and claims attributing the attacks to Ukraine's SBU and the HUR have been declared false by the Ukrainian Defense Intelligence. This situation underlines the complex and volatile nature of the ongoing conflict and emphasizes the necessity for accurate and verified information in such circumstances. Continued vigilance is crucial to monitor developments and understand their implications.